Hi guys, it's Collin. Today we are going to make the mason jar mug rug by Parker on the Porch. So you might hear some background noise. My house is under some renovation right now. So if you hear a saw or anything in the background, don't be alarmed. Everything's fine. Today we are going to make the 8x8 size. So my printer is unplugged because it was in the way for the work. So I'm using this kind of here to our stitch map. Normally I print it out and I like to have it, but today we're using the iPad. So excuse the ring light here. This is a one hooping project, super cute. I love this hot pad. I thought I had a sample, but I actually gave it to someone a couple weeks ago. So I don't have a sample, but it's fine. We're gonna make it together. It's super straightforward. I'll put a picture at the front so you can see what we're talking about. But it's a one hooping project. It's two hoopings if you want to make the included bias tab. I'm not making that today. I'm not going to put a bias tab on this one. I've done 2 or 3 other videos that include directions on that. So go ahead and look for one of those if you need directions on the bias tab past what's in the tutorial. So we are going to start with our our cutaway stabilizer. Unless you have a tearaway that doesn't have a papery sound and you don't plan on washing your project, I would use cutaway or poly mesh. So lightweight, medium weight, or poly mesh. I used poly mesh today. I have stitched my initial placement lines here. So this is the first step. And then this is a mighty hoop. I embroider on a commercial embroidery machine. My hoop probably looks different than yours. It probably attaches different than yours. Don't mind that. Your steps will be exactly the same, even if your hoop looks different. The first thing we're going to do after we've stitched our placement lines is we're going to put down our materials, our inner materials. So I'm using Insulbright here. So this is an insulated, it's an insulated batting. Think of it that way. It's got metal in it, so that this is going to be a hot pad, right? And then you also have layer batting here. Now, if you really want to, you can do 2 layers of batting. You sandwich the Insulbright in between them. I'm not going to do that today because I'm making an 8x8 and it will be very, very thick if I choose to do that. You can know your machine and your materials. You can use the 2 layers. So, but for today, I'm just going to make sure that I cover my placement lines entirely here. For the rest of our project, we have 3 pieces for the front of the jar. You can kind of see them here. So we have the top, the middle, and the bottom. It's kind of the easy way to look at it. We have those 3 pieces, and then we need something for the back. So like most hot pads from Parker on the Porch, we use an envelope back. So you have 2 halves. I finished the edges on both of mine. You do not have to. You only need 1 finished edge. I do it on both. It's just what I like to do. So that's it. Super easy project. You'll also want some sort of bias tab if you're going to put a loop on. I'm not putting one on today, but I will show you where that would be in the steps. So for now, I'm going to go to my machine. I'm going to tack this down and it's going to stitch our initial placement lines, and we'll come back and we'll talk about the rest. All right, look at that. It's already super cute. I'm excited. So love a good project, right? So let's look at our stitch map here. So our next thing, so we did the initial placement, we did the tack down, and it looks like we're going to place our top first. So I was inspired by the example on the website. Jen had a very lovely one in there. And so I'm kind of doing the copycat version of that, if you will. So I'm going to go ahead and place my fabric here. I'm going to make sure that I like it. So I cut it a little bit crooked, but I want to make sure my stripes, my thatched kind of pattern back there is relatively straight. So I'm going to double check that. And it's not going to be perfect because, right, this is not that kind of video. It's going to be pretty good and we're going to be happy with that. So I think I like it kind of right about there. We're going to go back to the machine. We're going to tack this down and then we'll come back. So we've tacked down our top here. That's kind of like our jar lid. So our next step is going to be to tack down that middle piece right here. So because of that, then I know that I want to trim this right here. Now I don't need to trim these because these will get cut off when I'm turning it, when I take it out of the hoop, but I do want to cut this down here. And now for a lot of applique, Jen recommends that you use Heat and Bond Light. I'm not using that on this project, and you don't need it on this project because this is quilted. So it's going to keep that fabric nice and secure. If you want to use it, you can, but you don't have to. So I skip whatever steps are not necessary just because that's how I craft. But here we go. So I cut a little close to that line there, but didn't quite get it. So that's good. So trim as close as you can. This part's kind of tricky because the batting is puffy and I feel like the fabric fights back a little bit. But applique trimming is my least favorite part of any project. If you've seen any of my other videos, you already know that. But we will trim that. Well, let's trim this a little bit more here, right? Let's see. We don't want that to be underneath our white. All right, so I'm going to get as much of this red fuzz off as I can, because once we put that white down, whatever's in there is going to be sewn into there until the end of time. So I do, I try and clean up a little bit. Okay, a lint roller would probably help. I don't have one. There we go. All right, so our next step is going to be that we're going to tack the white part down, or the top of your jar. So I'm using white, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place this right here. So I'm going to make sure that it covers everything right here. So make sure you cover that line. I cut this piece huge, so there's no issue, but make sure you've covered that line entirely. All right, so I'm going to go back and we're going to tack this down, and then we'll come back. All right, so we're going to trim this, and then our next steps are we're going to stitch the quilting on this one, and then we're going to stitch the quilting on this one. We're going to stitch the satin, then we're going to place our bottom piece. So let's just get all ready for that. So it doesn't probably matter exactly which order you trim this in, as long as you trim before the satin stitch, of course. But we're just going to start right now. We're just going to trim this whole thing up so I can go back and run all these next steps at the same time. So that's a bit of a time saver. So I'm going to go and I'm going to trim this as close as I can to the stitching right here. And then I'm going to trim around down here as well. All right, so I've mostly got this trimmed. I'm going to get this one last piece here. And then we have this. So we're going to go back to the machine, and we are going to, first we're going to stitch the decoration, the decorative stitch on here, the quilting stitch, right? Then it's going to stitch the quilting stitch on here. And then we're going to stitch this satin stitch here. Then we'll tack down our fabric here, we'll trim, and then we'll stitch the satin stitch here. So I will go to the machine, I'll do the first 2 decorative stitches, and I'll come back and show you. So here's our quilting on the white, which is super cute. You can still see my hearts, and it looks really good. So I like this kind of quilting. Our next step is we're going to stitch kind of the stripes up here that show like that can jar, and then I'll come back after that. All right, so we did our kind of stripes up here, so it looks like the rings on the jar up there. And then next is this satin stitch right here. So this is my last opportunity to make sure I've trimmed it as well as I can. It looks pretty good to me. I'm going to push this forward a little bit and hope that the satin stitch will cover it. I chose red for mine. White would also look nice, or what, a complementary color from whatever you chose here. Black, gray. I mean, you could use any color you want. I chose red because I'm modeling mine after the example that Jen made. Jen's a lot better at picking fabrics than I am, so I lean on her for things like that. I'm going to go ahead and model it after hers because I liked it, but you could do any number of things that would look really cute. So we're going to run this satin stitch right here, and then when we come back, we'll place down here. So I've run my satin stitch. Sorry, let me move my Diet Coke there. And you can see that I got a couple of threads in there, and I got a couple spaces where you can see a little bit of the white, right? So I didn't quite cover all my threads. I am really terrible at trimming applique. This is not a pattern problem. This is a Collin problem. So I keep my trusty red Sharpie, and there's probably a lot of ways to fix this. I just take my Sharpie and I color over the stuff that's white. And there we go. And I have a lot of Sharpies in different colors that I keep on hand because I'm not very good at applique. No shame in that game, right? It's not a magic fix, but it actually took care of all those little white threads that I had. So I buy the 24 pack and I keep them in a little Parker on the Porch bag. I'll show you in a little bit. And I just grab the color I need. So now we're going to place our lower fabric, which I'm going to do right here. I'm going to make sure that this selvage is outside of my seam allowance. I'm going to make sure I have enough seam allowance down here. I do. It's actually kind of close, but there's plenty of space. I got a 1/4 inch, right? That's what we need. So we're going to go back to the hoop and we're going to tack this down, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we have tacked down our base here, our bottom. So we did that. So next is going to be the quilting down here, and then it's going to run that satin stitch and then the blanket stitch over it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing. I'm going to go ahead and trim this. So as close as I can without cutting my stitches, I'm going to trim this. This is a very slow process for me. And then you can see, even when I take forever, I still don't get it right. So we're just going to keep trimming this here. I will kind of speed this up a little bit so you can see it, but we're going to trim this whole way. I finished trimming, so I'm just going to go ahead and clip a couple of these last little threads that I think might be problematic. I can't always tell. I mean, that looks pretty good to me, and then sometimes it's just, you know, it's never perfect. That's okay. It looks pretty good. So we're going to go back to the machine. We're going to do the quilting, okay? Then we're going to do the satin stitch. Then we'll come back. All right, so here is our almost completed mason jar hop hat. So we still have all the extra here, but you can see how cute it is. So I have done, this is the satin stitch here. It actually looks pretty good. I don't even think I need the Sharpie. So that's exciting. There is an optional blanket stitch that'll stitch over this, or like a bean stitch. That's the word, bean stitch. So I'm going to run it on mine. I'm going to bring in, I don't know, I have it set to white, but green might be cute, or even red. I think I'll probably stick with white. But that's another way to bring in another color if you want to. So I'm going to go back and I'll run that stitch right now. And if you don't want that, just skip that step. No big deal. Okay, so not on our stitch map here, but that is in the new file, is a spot to add the bias tab. So before we would just add the bias tab and then put up the back on. Jen has gone back and updated some of the older patterns. So after you stitch this decorative bean stitch here, the next step is to stitch the placement lines for your bias tab. So at that point, I'm not adding a bias tab to mine. I did stitch it so I could show you. But at that point, you would take your bias tab that you either made in the first hooping with this file, or that you just made on your own, or that you used something that was pre-made, however you want to do it. Remember, when you're putting on your bias tab, you always want to put your folded part on the inside. So we would put it right here. Okay, we would tape it down, and then the next step is going to stitch it down right here. So then at that point, we would come back and we would put on our back. So I'm not adding the bias tab, so we're not doing that. But that's where you would add it if you are. I'm going to go straight to the back because I don't hang my hot pads, and my fingers, they just get stuck on silverware in my drawer. And it works better for me not to have a bias tab. So on some of them, I do put it. If I'm going to give it as a gift, a lot of times I do, but I don't want one on mine, so we're not putting one. For the back, we have the envelope back, right? So I'm going to place my fabric right sides down. So as far as fabric, this is a really thick canvas here. It's kind of like, it's almost like a denim. I like that. I use a thicker canvas or a drop cloth. A lot of times I will order a drop cloth from Amazon, and I'll make my hot pads with drop cloths because they're really thick material and they're really cheap. So if you make a lot of hot pads like I do, it's nice to not spend, $10 on fabric to make each one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my fabric here. I'm going to make sure that it covers my seam allowance. The one that you put down first is the one that's going to show when we turn it right side out. So make sure that one has the finished edge. I finish both of my edges because I think it looks a little bit better. That's my personal preference. You don't have to do that. Just make sure your one with the finished edge is the one you put down first. So I'm going to go ahead and double check my seam allowance. It looks pretty good. Where exactly these end up isn't super important. They can overlap a lot. They can overlap a little, whatever you like. I'm going to slide this down a little bit. All right. So I'm just going to make sure that I have, sometimes they will, the seam will unpress itself here. So we're going to go back, we're going to stitch this last thing down, and then we'll take it out of the hoop. Here's our mason jar all finished in the hoop, and here's my bag of Sharpies. So this is the Parker on the Porch makeup stash bag, which is probably my favorite Parker on the Porch bag. This was one of the original ones from a way long time ago with the number 3 zipper, and I used to have a cute little pull and it broke, and this was fabric that was really popular, gosh, like 7 years ago, 8 years ago, I'm not sure, a long time ago, right? So I still use it. This is my Sharpie bag. I keep it in my sewing room, and there, if I ever have an applique, oops, that is what I do. So this, we are just about done. So I'm going to cut around here with about a 1/4 inch seam allowance to your comfort on that. And then we're going to just turn this right side out and we're done. And you can clip the corners. Sometimes that helps. Yeah, try and get through all the layers of fabric here. And you can use pinking shears too. Mine are really dull right now, so it would just be frustrating. But pinking shears are great if they aren't super dull. So we'll just keep cutting here. I know this part is really boring. After you've got it all the way cut out, we're going to turn it right side out, and then we're going to press it, and then we're going to be totally done. So I love simple project like this. These make a great last minute gift, or you can plan in advance to make a great gift in general. Teacher gift, so perfect for the gardener, right? I've given these to a lot of friends who garden. So we're going to turn it right side out now. I'm going to try and keep my pressed lines. And if you overlap a little bit more, it can be a bit more challenging to turn right side out. It doesn't bother me, but it may bother you. So I'm going to kind of pull it out gently. Remember, we don't want to yank it. Let me find one of my turning tools. There we go. And it's looking good already. I like the colors. I try to go a little bit patriotic, because it's almost the 4th of July. So I'm in a patriotic mood. We're trying to decide what we want to do for the holiday. I think we're going to go downtown, Washington, D.C. and watch the fireworks. So there's supposed to be a really great flyover. And, well, my husband, he's a pilot, so we have a whole family of airplane lovers. So I think we're going to go and watch the flyover. And here we go. We're almost done here. And you can manhandle it a little bit because we're going to have to press it anyway to get all the corners right. Just don't press too hard. This one's pretty tough, especially if you use a thicker back fabric. So let me pressing that over here. All right. Now you're not supposed to iron on a cutting mat. Okay. I only do this if it's a quick little thing I'm ironing. You don't want to iron a lot on your cutting mat. It'll warp your cutting mat. I'm going to cheat just a little. All right. So you can tell I missed corner here. So it's not pushed out quite all the way. Let me go ahead and push that out. We got to get that right shape, that how it tapers kind of. There we go. That should be better. All right, let's see. Oh yes, much better. So cute. I'm so excited. This one's for me. I'm not giving this one away. I give away a lot of the stuff I make, which is good because I make a lot of stuff. I couldn't store it all. So I do give away a lot of it. But this one is for me in my kitchen, and I'm very excited. So this is the 8x8 Parker on the Porch mason jar hot pad. It comes with a bunch of sizes, and then you can also make it as like a coaster kind of mug rug, so a smaller size. This is like a small-ish medium size. You can make them absolutely ginormous if you want. Made in 1 hooping, 2 if you want to do the bias tab, but super simple project, great for a gift. Thank you so much for joining me, and I can't wait to see what you make.